A recent comment from Elliotte Friedman has revealed the true reason as to why Linus Ullmark was traded at the time that he was, which many people are calling a very early time in the offseason. So we're going to be breaking that down and kind of analyzing the reasons as to why this was. We're also going to be talking about an absolutely ridiculous Jeremy Swayman trade offer, which I did discuss slightly in last video, but we're taking a very deep dive into it here and why this makes absolutely no sense at this time. Before we get into all of this news, however, we notice that just over 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button. Join me here on this channel as we cover everything Boston Bruins related, and we bring you guys all of the latest news, including the long-awaited and hopefully very soon, Jeremy Swayman contract update. But without any further ado, let's get into our first topic here of the video, which is the truth behind the quote-unquote early Ullmark trade. And I know many people don't think that this was too early, and I know there's a lot of people that think that they should have waited for Swayman to get the contract well done before any move for Ullmark was made. However, Elliotte Friedman had this to say on the matter from 32 Thoughts, the podcast, and his main reason as to why this was the case. He goes on to say, "You'll remember the Ullmark trade was right before July 1st. Ullmark could have switched the teams on his no-trade list at that point in time. They could trade Ullmark to Ottawa without asking. And if you go to July 1st, what happens if Ullmark switches his list? So my guess is that A had everything to do with that and why that happened at that time, which I completely understand. And in my mind, and to many other people responding to this, makes complete sense. You know that Linus Ullmark, you wanted to get the best return for him possible. You wanted him to be in the best scenario. How good he did you don't want to do him dirty either. However, many people still thought that this was very early in the offseason. Although people are saying that there would have been an issue trading Linus Ullmark, I don't believe there would have. There was many teams, and still many teams, are looking for a elite caliber goalie who will eventually become that potential league winner, I guess we could say. You know, the ones that will help you get to a playoff run. Many teams, including a team that we're going to be talking about earlier or later in this video, who are looking at a trade potentially for Jeremy Swayman in the Colorado Avalanche, could be looking for another goalie. And obviously, it's all speculation, but what Elliotte Friedman had to say here, and his reasoning behind it, is definitely a part. There are a few more parts which could go on to being the cap space to try and get Elias Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov, as they did in free agency. That was also a big part where Ullmark was making $5 million per season. They wanted an extra bit of safety cap just in case anything went down, anything extra, anybody was outbidding them, and that was a big part of it as well. And it all really came from what Elliotte Friedman had to say, and it also comes from this screenshot here. If the Bruins had waited until July 1st and Ullmark had to put the Senators on his no-trade list, it would have been far more challenging for the original six club to trade him. By that time, the Bruins had traded Ullmark. The Sens were already one of the top suitors left looking for a starting goalie. And obviously, the New Jersey Devils has acquired Jacob Marchand at that point. So that was another team put off the list. But trading Ullmark and his $5 million cap hit before July 1st also gave the Bruins cap space to make notable splashes in free agency, which, as I mentioned, was another big part of that. And looking at it now, the additions we had in free agency and the additions that we got, I think, are a major piece that will absolutely set this team a mile farther than what they would have if they hadn't have gotten those players. And obviously, Zadorov and Lindholm, two major pieces, going to be one C and one top defenseman. So it's going to work out. You know, obviously, it's not the most ideal situation now with how it all played out, mainly for Jeremy Swayman, his contract situation, and everything that's leading up to that now, the challenge that they're having, not being close on the deal. And obviously, you know, it's going to happen. It's not much you can do about it now, but it did lead to many issues which really were out of the Bruins' control. And that was all a whole different realm of the plan. You know, they were hoping to have Swayman under wraps by then, or at least sooner rather than later, but just so happened to not happen with that whole situation. But because of this, we now have an absolutely insane trade report. And I can't even believe I'm discussing this right now. We had hoped that Jeremy Swayman was going to be under contract. We really didn't think that this would be another situation that we have to discuss, is a trade from Jeremy Swayman going to the Colorado Avalanche in this case. And I will pull up that proposed trade in a moment, as I mentioned too in the intro. This was a trade that I spoke about in the last video just very briefly, but I think this needed its own video. This was an absolutely ridiculous idea, proposal, and honestly, I have no idea where this came from. I've seen it spark up in many different Twitter pages, different accounts. I didn't see anybody credible posting about it, but a lot of people were saying that this was coming from a reliable source, which I don't agree with. I don't think it did, but still, just in case, I wanted to pull up this whole thing. So obviously this started to arise from the whole situation here. The Bruins are challenging situation with Swayman remaining unsigned in training camp, and which is around the corner. The point of recording this, it is tomorrow. So a big thing. And the hope is from here that Anchorage, Alaska native will be signed before the start of the season. If he is not, the Bruins will undoubtedly miss Ullmark. And that's no doubt, but maybe we might be missing Swayman as well, according to this crazy article. And this is what the proposed trade is. The speculated trade would involve Swayman heading to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for goaltender Alexander Georgiev and defenseman Sam Girard. Now, on paper, this trade may seem all right. You know, I'm not going to say it's a very good one. I'm not saying the Bruins should do this in any way. Sam Girard, very good defenseman, but the Bruins have a very solid decor right now. Do not need to make a move for a defenseman. And also getting Alexander Georgiev in return. He's not a good goalie. His stats are very inflated on the win percentage because he's on the Colorado Avalanche. And there's no doubt in my mind that Colorado wants a Jeremy Swayman type goalie. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that they're looking for that elite goalie that they have no worries about, can help them win games when the team is not on. However, the Bruins are in the opposite. They want that goalie that can also do the same. They don't want to have a goalie who's just has an inflated win percentage, who's not that good behind them, because frankly, we have to be honest. This team is not as good as the Colorado Avalanche just yet. The Colorado Avalanche are very deep, and the Bruins still have that uncertainty at the bottom, although I think a lot of people are going to be surprised with how the performance of those guys are going to be excelling next season is a good way of putting it. But this is an absolutely insane report. And this is the reasoning behind this trade. For the Bruins, Georgiev has had a league led the league in wins over the past 2 seasons. He would provide a very solid veteran presence in net, while prospect Brandon Bussi continues to develop. They also don't mention Jonas Korpisalo here, who is going to have a major bounce back season. I'm very, very confident in saying that behind Jeremy Swayman, the whole goalie coach and the whole goalie system the Bruins possess, this will be a very good year for him. Additionally, Girard is a high-skilled puck-moving defenseman, something Bruins GM Don Sweeney has publicly stated he is looking for. With 3 years left on his contract and reasonable AAV, Girard will be a valuable addition to the Boston Blue Line. And there's no doubt that is the case, but right now, the situation they're in, the Bruins defense, there's absolutely no need to make this trade. The only way, and I mean the only way, that I can see anything like this happening is if the Bruins and Jeremy Swayman do not have a contract at all by the beginning of the regular season. In that case, there may be a few things that the Bruins need to act upon immediately, but apart from that, I really see no reason to even discuss this trade at this very moment in time. And as I mentioned, no credibility to this, no reliability, no evidence behind any of this, but there are apparently people saying this, and I firmly think that this is an absolutely ridiculous trade offer. So I want to know what you guys think about the Linus Ullmark situation. I know that's some old news, I guess, at this point, but at least now we finally have the clarity on why that trade was made so early with no Jeremy Swayman contract in hand. And also, what do you think about that trade? Do you think that happens in any way, shape, or form? I don't think so, but, you know, we never know in the hockey world at this point. So let me know what you think about all this news. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. We're nearly at 4K, and if we could hit that by the beginning of the regular season, that would be absolutely unreal. But I'm signing out. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.